I feel like there are a lot of people that wonder whether Joe Rogan has become a casual in the UFC universe or not. Ladies and gentlemen, I am here today to dissect each Joe Rogan voice line and explain to you why Joe Rogan has genuinely become a casual UFC slash MMA slash whatever the sport has become fan at this point. So, you know, listen, Joe Rogan, sorry for the jump scare. Joe Rogan, obviously the figurehead, that's a big vocab word there for me, of the UFC in the sense that like he's the color commentator for every American UFC pay per view, and he always says "unbelievable" or "oh my god," like just some straight nonsense like that. Pretty much every single time someone gets knocked out, or he doesn't react at all. So Joe Rogan, what does he do? What does he add to the commentary? Let's go through it today. We're going to start with a banger from Joe Rogan. This is actually not even on commentary. This is more from his podcast. This guy, man, Alex Pereira, Dricus Duplessis, he used to say this about Rumble when he was alive. Man, that was a poorly timed statement. But Joe Rogan always, man, I stood next to him. I said, "How is that 85, man? How did he ever make 185?" He does this every single time. It always leads into his weight cutting argument about how we need to eliminate weight cutting, which I will get to in this video. Believe me, this is gonna be an angry video, by the way. I can already tell from the way I'm speaking right now that I'm gonna be angry in this one. So just prepare yourselves. But yeah, Joe Rogan, the guy's constantly talking about how big guys are. I remember when Yanal Ashmouz fought Trevor Peek. Wow, that's a deep cut by me. He kept saying the entire time, "This guy's so big, man. I have no clue how he makes 55. This guy, Yanal Ashmouz, man, just a strong guy." He knew nothing about how Yanal Ashmouz fought. He didn't know who he had fought. He probably didn't even know Yanal Ashmouz existed until he walked out. But he saw that he had muscles in the entire walkout where he was supposed to do a breakdown. He just goes, "Yeah, this guy's real strong, man. Probably a lot of top pressure this guy's got." Joe Rogan, shameful gaslighting that he was doing there, and that he always does on this podcast when he talks about guys and how they're so much bigger than their weight. So, yeah, that's a classic Joe Rogan. Speaking of classic Joe Rogan, I call this one the Joe Rogan special. Before we get into that, obviously, and this is a disclaimer for what it's worth. There is a Joe Rogan verse of NPC voice lines, and we're going to be going over each of them in a second here. This is kind of the idea, right? So I'm going to run you through 4 or 5 of these. We're going to dissect each of them, probably do a really bad impression of Joe Rogan, and just, talk about why this guy's such a casual. So, the Joe Rogan special. People always forget, man, Benson Henderson, he was the first guy who used calf kicks. I never saw anyone using calf kicks until Benson Henderson, guys. People forget. Hey, listen, man, I've had it up to here with this Joe Rogan and Benson Henderson nonsense. Motherfucker, no one has forgot if you say it every single pay-per-view. Does Joe Rogan not understand? Nobody is forgetting that shit if you say it every single time you touch a microphone. I'm doing like an emo with my hands right now because this has genuinely gotten me mad. No one's forgetting that he started the calf kick. I don't even know if that's true, dog. I'm sure someone threw a calf kick before Benson Henderson, but every single time this guy speaks, it's always, "I don't know, man. I never saw anyone doing leg kicks until Benson Henderson." I mean, Michael Bisping went his whole career without getting calf kicked. Dude, it pisses me off so much every single time because when you see a guy get his leg kicked out from underneath him, Joe Rogan literally loses his shit. In Josh Van versus Brendan Royval, the very opening sequence, Royval takes Van off his feet with a leg kick. Joe Rogan goes, "Oh my goodness, that calf kick was nasty. He's already got sore. He's already got swelling on that left calf." People forget, man. And it's every single time. Like, I don't get it. Like, it's like I think at this point, Joe Rogan might be so much of a dementia patient that he genuinely himself forgets who invented the calf kick. It's like Benson Henderson is literally like the stimulant, or I don't know what. Benson Henderson is Joe Rogan's like Alzheimer's, dementia level stimulant, to where he hears the name Benson Henderson and all of a sudden it's like his autism starts. And he's like, "Oh my god, Benson Henderson started the calf kick. Benson Henderson started the calf kick." And then he can't remember his family's names or something, Like he's sitting in a chair when he's 95 years old, and Joe Rogan's talking about how Benson Henderson initiated the calf kick versus Frankie Edgar and Gray Maynard and Nate Diaz or whoever the fuck. So yeah, that's my rant about Joe Rogan and calf kicks. But believe me, there's a lot more I could do about that. Next up, are they still using the steel tie cups, man? You know they with arm bars. I can't believe they're still using those steel tie cups. This is the exact same thing. I really believe, and guys, you can quote me on this, I don't care. I think that Joe Rogan may genuinely have early onset Alzheimer's because he says this so much. Someone can fact check me. I don't know if someone has ever actually responded to when Joe Rogan is asked if they're still using the tie cups because he asks it every time. It's like someone didn't answer him the first time and he just keeps asking because he wants to be a part of the conversation. Motherfucker, none of us know if they're still using the steel tie cups and none of us care. Someone's going to get kicked in the dick at some point in the fight. That's probably going to happen. And then immediately he's going to go, I don't know why they don't use the tie cups, man. Those would hurt a lot more in the kicks. It's like a weapon. You can really use them for the arm bars. They should ban those. And it's like he'll get an MMA. He'll get like Jiri Prochazka on this podcast, and Joe Rogan's like, Yuri, do you use one of those steel tie cups? I use nothing for cup. I use power of my balls and groin to defend these kicks. Let's go for that. And I also use Storm and autism. Yeah, but like it's so common for Joe Rogan to ask this question that it genuinely pisses me off when I hear it. Because, brother, I can promise you there's not a single fucking person on the planet that's actually concerned about what cups they're wearing. I don't even think the MMA fighters care about what cups they're wearing, really. Unless they're like fucking Corey Nerdhagen or something. And they're like breaking out the beakers and test tubes and they know that it's scientifically the best cup to wear. So we are leaving steel tie cups in 2025. This is one of the worst ones, by the way, and I mean this seriously. Every single time a UFC fighter gets on Joe Rogan's podcast, he talks about how they should be fighting on a basketball court. And I'm not kidding. Listen, you could listen for all the way back to 2017. He talked about this with Matt Brown. I think that was 2016 or 2017. Where this guy, it's like a normal conversation. They're like chilling, fucking talking about Matt Brown's like drug overdose or something for an hour. And then all of a sudden, Joe Rogan goes, yeah, man, I don't know. I think that they made a mistake when they added the cage, man. It added too much to the game. It should be a matted basketball court where you just run around until someone hits the other person. It's more realistic that way. And I didn't even include this, but he also talks about no padding in the gloves because he wants it to be realistic. They have to put this guy down, dude, because it's getting to a point. If the guys run away enough, watch the third round of Yusuf Zalal and Calvin Kattar if you want to talk about running around. The guys run around enough inside the small octagon, and I think that was in the Apex. Imagine what they would do on a basketball court. You would literally watch an entire fight where people would not touch each other. Derek Lewis and Francis Ngannou would be cinema on a basketball court. These two are literally standing as far away from each other as possible. That's what all of Tom Aspinall's opponents would do. It's shameful that this guy is genuinely trying to like shield this onto us, like sell it to us as a fucking thing that's possible. It's shameful. He brings it up every podcast. He is yet to bring it up on commentary, I believe, but trust me, it's coming eventually. And then I said I would talk about the weight cutting. This guy, man, and he talks about it with ever since the inception of the JRE MMA show. Every time this guy fucking talks. Man, the weight cutting's so dangerous, man. They just gotta get rid of the weight cutting. Once they get rid of the weight cutting, it's just gonna be so much easier. I kind of sound like Chael Sonnen a little bit. But yeah, man, he always talks about how we need to do what boxing does. Brother, boxing has 17 weight classes. We barely survive with the amount of champions we have now. Imagine if we had 17. And plus, it makes those, like, unification, like, double champ versus champ fights, they're useless because you're not really going up. You're talking about, imagine if we had the flyweight champ fight the super flyweight champ. Oh my god, it's a 112 pounder versus a 115 pounder. Man, this is crazy. I can't believe he's making the jump to 115 from 112. Like, what the fuck are we talking about? So, Joe Rogan's an idiot. He's got Down syndrome, possibly. Shout out to all the people with Down syndrome. Sorry. And he brings this up so much when this guy was literally bashing boxing on live TV like 20 years ago in that backwards hat he used to wear all the time and that like drawn on beard, where he's talking about your sport is dying. The UFC's lapping you guys. We're a tidal wave. And yet this guy wants to have boxing weight classes. We don't need boxing weight classes. I'm fine with every 10 pounds, like he says. I'm cool with that. But I'm fine with every 10 pounds until you get to 205. I think it should be 125, 135, 145, 155. I think you can do 165. I'm fine with that. 175, 185, 195, 205, and then heavyweight. I'm perfectly cool with that. I think that's like 11 weight classes. That would be a lot, but it would be better. And it would fix Joe Rogan's like fucking bitching and moaning about the weight classes. So I think that would really be a solid idea for Joe Rogan ultimately. And then the very final Joe Roganism that we need to talk about today. This is kind of a niche one because he really never has said this on. Maybe he has, but he's never said on commentary to my knowledge. Um, Joe Rogan, every time he talks to a guy coming off a win, I feel like there's a moment in every fighter's career, man, where they just hit that next level. They just elevate to the upper echelon of the division. This guy said that to Khalil Roundtree after he beat Anthony Smith in a competitive fight. I'm not kidding. Go back and watch the last Khalil Roundtree podcast with Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan genuinely was like, dude, who does that to Anthony Smith, man? Nobody's doing that to Anthony Smith. You know, like it's just fucking. This guy's acting like he's the messiah for being in a 1-1 fight with Anthony Smith going in the third round, where Anthony Smith could have been winning because it was that competitive. You know, he said the same shit to Corey Sandhagen last week, and then he was like, "Who did you fight again?" Yeah, like I don't know who you fought, but bro, you're on the upper level now. You're on the upper echelon. I'm telling you, man, Joe Rogan has dementia. He has Alzheimer's. He's become such a casual in the sport that, like, you almost feel bad when you listen to him on commentary. Wears that same fucking black shirt everywhere. It's literally like someone forgot to dress him each day and he just shows up in whatever he went to sleep in. And I literally think that that is why Joe Rogan wears the all black outfits. And it's why he couldn't remember that Corey Sandhagen fought Figgy. That was 2 months ago. I think literally 2 months ago, maybe a little more than 2 months ago. Um, in a main event in a crowded fight night. There's only been like 2 or 3 crowded fight nights in the past 3 months. And he couldn't remember who the guy who was coming on his podcast fought in his last fight. So I think that kind of goes to show where Joe Rogan's at in the history of fucking UFC commentary. Ladies and gentlemen, that is gonna do it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. Um, it's been pretty crazy this last week. I pre-recorded the last 4 videos all on the same day and then scheduled them to come out a day in between. So I'm sorry about not being every single day. And I had to recycle a bunch of clips on TikTok and YouTube Shorts. So sorry about that. It's been crazy the love I've been getting on TikTok and YouTube Shorts and YouTube in general. It's funny that like on all these pre-recorded kind of shitty videos where the audio was fucked up, so I had to put like Men at Work and then Do You Come From a Land Down Under as like the background music to fix it. I've gotten the most love from the pre-recorded scheduled videos, so I'm happy to be back. I'm gonna make videos every single day. It's been so motivating to see that people actually want to watch my videos and actually care about what I have to say. Um, so I appreciate all you boys on YouTube and TikTok. I promise it'll be actual clips. I try and respond to every comment or like every comment on both accounts. Obviously, Money Manziel MMA on TikTok if you're new. Um, so obviously, DM me, comment. I'll respond to everything, man. I appreciate everyone who watches the videos. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that you learned what you already knew, which is Joe Rogan's a casual. Like, comment, subscribe, all the usual stuff. This is coming out 1 p.m. I don't know what day it is today. Today's the 6th, so it's coming out 1 p.m. on the 7th. I'll see you boys then. I'll like every comment. Hope everyone enjoys. Follow my TikTok. Subscribe. I already said that. Peace out.